welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley-Long, and I'm here with Stephanie Hartman, who's the event planner of the 2021 Back to School Bash, will be taking place in Patterson. So this is something we hear all the time, back to school events all the time. However, you put a little twist on it. It's a little bit of a bash. So when I hear bash, I'm like, it's just extravaganza, all kinds of things going on, streamers everywhere. I'm going a little too far, but sounds like it's going to be a great event. But before we get into that, tell me about the idea. Where did this come up from?
The idea came up with basic conversation between myself, LA Hustlers nonprofit organization, Crystal and James Pollard Roofing, and Patterson Outreach. Yeah. So we had a basic conversation about giving out, school supplies for not only Patterson, but for the whole entire St. Mary Parish, which is a little bit different than you guys we normally do here. Mm-hmm. Everybody's used to having their own little back to school event, in different cities, but why not come together as one and everybody be inclusive? Right. So that's how we came up with the idea.
Now, this has to be quite an undertaking. The fact that you're doing not just elementary to middle school to high school, you're also including the college students. So a student who is thinking about going to college or is going to college, what are they going to get from this back to school bash?
Well, they're going to get, of course, the basic school supplies. However, they're able to speak with representatives from the colleges. We have 6 colleges that's coming out, including LSU and Nichols. We have SLCC, we have Fletcher, we have Unitech, and we have Blue Cliff. That's coming out, that's going to be participating at this St. Mary Parish 2021 Back to School Bash.
Now, typically you see something like that indoors,
yes,
in the facility, but this is going to be outdoors.
Yes, ma'am.
This is going to be pretty interesting. But in addition to that, you also have other vendors that are going to be on the premises as well. Tell me about some of the other vendors.
Yes, ma'am. We have 21 vendors. We have a few selling food, some delicious food trucks are going to be there. We have clothing, jewelry, makeup. We have resources that's going to be there as well. People giving out, information. So it's covering everything.
Yeah, definitely. And not only just everything, you're adding a little lanyard. You can have a comedian
yes,
and a fashion show. Tell me about that.
Our comedian is R.J. Evans. He used to live here in the Morgan City area. Now he's in the Shreveport area, but he's going to come back to the city and give you a little bit on stage.
Okay, and the mini fashion show. Tell me about that. I mean, you're looking very fabulous yourself. What kind of clothing? What's the fashion show?
It's just back to school clothes that the participants are going to wear. Their own clothing. Okay. We're going to have, pre-K students to parents walking with their kids. Oh. Just a family fun fashion show.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So that's one way that the community can get involved as well, in addition to the vendors that are going to be out there selling their goods. So this is shop local, but also to participate and give back to the community. So it's in Patterson, but this is for all of St. Mary?
Yes, ma'am. It's for the entire St. Mary Parish. The schools, all of the public schools receive letters letting them know what's going on and for them to share it with their staff. Right. As well as all the mayors receive letters.
Now, what about uniforms? I'm curious, are you also giving away uniforms as well?
Patterson Outreach has a booth that's set up that they're going to be giving away uniforms.
Okay, so it looks like you've kind of taken care of all of your bases. You have everything covered.
We're trying.
Oh, it sounds like it is. Sounds like it's like if you're going to miss out and you want something to do. We talked about this prior to the conversation. We said this is, we're getting closer to post-pandemic.
Right.
So people are wanting to get out. The new saying is, I'm outside. So now you're outside, and here's something for the family to do together. And it's going to be an all-day event, right? So what time it's going to start?
Yes, ma'am. It's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Park Street Park in Patterson.
Right. So this is pretty much going to be a nice family fun event, but for the little ones. Now, we've talked about the college students, but what about the little ones? There going to be some games?
Yes, ma'am. We have about 6 games that we're going to have out there. We have about 3 fun jumps, and we also have the train ride.
Yeah. So can I get on the train?
You can monitor it.
Okay. You came back real quick with that one. That was good. So I can monitor the train. Okay, fine. Or maybe I can be the conductor.
Yes. You never know.
There we go. I got to
all
get
volunteers.
On the train. That's right. Speaking of which, are you looking for volunteers?
Yes, we can also use some more volunteers for the event. But and we do have our core volunteers that's going to be there as well.
Okay, so again, you have all your bases covered. So that sounds good. What about music? I don't think we talked about music.
We do have a DJ that's going to be there. We have a live remote for 3 hours from one of the radio stations here.
Okay.
As far as advertising, we are going to advertise this event on the local radio stations. It's going to be advertised in the Quick Quarter newspaper, the Daily Review, and the Franklin Tribune.
Awesome. Well, come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. We have Stephanie Hartman with the 2021 Back to School Bash. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I am your host, and we have Stephanie Hartman, who is the event planner for the 2021 Back to School Bash. Now, we're saying 2021. Are we going to have this annually? Can you speak on it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to have this all again next year. It sounds like it's going to be a really great event because in addition to the food, the drinks, the supplies that are being given away, the games, the colleges that are going to be there, all the 21 vendors that are going to be in attendance there. You also have a guest speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about Dr. K. Renee Hawthorne.
Dr. K. Renee Hawthorne came to us by way of the Gulf Coast Organization of Katy, Texas, in which Kendrick White is the CEO. Now, Dr. K. Renee Hawthorne, she's hearing impaired. She's a mother of 3. She's a NASA engineer. She's a STEM advocate, and she's also a community leader.
Now, you mentioned Kendrick White, and his wife is Rochelle White, who's also a former native of St. Mary Parish.
Yes.
Yes. So all of this is pretty much full circle, meaning that everyone who has a hand in this is local.
Pretty much, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I mean, it takes a village, as they say, right?
Yes,
you can't
it
do
does.
it all by yourself. So these different people have come together to work to put this bash, because I said bash, I'm like, wow, bash, extravaganza. You know, it's really not just and look, I think anyone who donates their time is great, but it's not just a come get your uniforms and then go on your merry way. It's
Right.
Come get your uniforms and your school supplies, but enjoy yourselves. This is a day where the family can just kind of kick back one last time before it's time to go back to school. So, and that's why I'm not saying that, again, other school supply events that are going on, I think it's great. But this is one where you bring your lawn chair, sit outside, listen to some great music, have some fun as a family, because not every family can go out of town for a vacation.
Right.
This, to me, sounds like it's a nice day where the entire family can get involved.
Yes.
And you don't have to cook. Just bring a couple of bucks and you have a meal.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, I forgot to mention that the Gulf Coast Organization of Katy, Texas is going to be giving out scholarships. So please go on the social media and fill it out.
Okay. See, every time we're talking, I just got to get you to talk a little bit more. You're revealing something new. So this is great. Again, from elementary school to college. That's great. You often don't get the college students involved, but even if you're thinking about going to college, if you're thinking about going to a community college right here in our backyard, they'll be right out there at your fingertips, right in your space where you don't have to travel. They'll be right there. I think that's great. It's centrally located. It's going to be in Patterson at Park Street Park, which is right next to Hattie Watts Elementary School. Lots of room for the kids to run around, but also to something else that I really want to shed light on, and that is the sign language interpreter that you're going to have there for those who may be hearing impaired.
Yes, Miss Tara Johnson, which she is local as well, is going to be our interpreter for the program that's going to go on stage.
Yes. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else left to say. You have everything that you need at this back to school bash, and it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., on July 31st. Again, all day event. Bring your lawn chair and bring your kiddos.
Yes, please.
Yes, sounds good. And I know it's a little bit of ways away, which that time will go by quickly. You say you have all your volunteers lined up. What about vendor space? Do you have additional vendor space?
I have maybe one I can squeeze, to be honest.
Just one.
I have everything mapped out, and we are going to have tents out there so the vendors don't have to bring their own personal tents.
Come on.
So we have tents being delivered on Friday. We have two 20 by 40s and two 20 by 20 tents. that's
ahead.
going to be at.
Right.
Space is limited. Maybe
Right.
next year we'll have more space, given the area that we'll be
Right.
located in.
How much for vendors?
Vendors are only $30.
Okay. Sounds great. I think it's a great event. Thank you very much for coming here. Again, it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on July 31st, the 2021 Back to School Bash, where you're going to have just about everything you can imagine, and even for the college students. So do not tell the teenagers to stay home. Bring them out. Doesn't matter how old you are. Sounds like if you're from 2 to 92, you should be at this event. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Come on back. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have Kayla Marcantonio, who's the co-pastor of Crossing Place Church in Bayou Vista. And it is great to have you back. As
Yeah.
always, I've always had the welcome mat out for you because
Thanks.
you've had a great program with the date night, which I'm glad I had a.
Yeah,
I was
it was
able
good to have you there
participate
this
in that.
time.
Yes, so now you're actually doing something for the kids, and that's back to school haircuts. I will say there was a gentleman at one time that actually conducted almost something similar, haircuts for kids, and it seemed like it was an all-day event. It was well attended, and I think he has since moved away out of town. So now it's good to see that there's another organization that has come up and is offering free haircuts. And tell me about how this all got started.
Yeah, so it actually wasn't a recent thing in the sense of like in our hearts, we're like a dreams kind of birth. We heard about the gentleman and, we kind of were, I will say recently we heard about the gentleman. They're like, oh, someone does that. And so we were nervous, like, oh, does it look like we're being competitive or taking this over? But come to find out, yeah, like he doesn't do it anymore. So about 6 years ago when my husband and I moved here, it's hard to find someone to do your hair. And so you'll typically drive back to wherever you were from just to get your hair done or wait a year or so to get it done. Yeah, like a long time. And so he was trying to find a new barber here when we moved. And so he's waiting in line and it's at back to school time. And there's this like slew of kids just waiting to get their hair done. And all of a sudden 6 years ago, that idea clicked. And so, it was always something that we had dreamed of, but just in March is when we were elected to become the pastors of the church. And so we really felt like that was something that God put in our hearts at that time for this time. Mm-hmm. And so it's really cool to see it come full circle.
You mentioned something about holding off on going back to see your stylist or your barber. You have a relationship with your barber, so I totally understand that where you're like, no one gets in my hair, I don't want anyone else. I have a relationship with my barber, so I totally understand that.
Yeah, they do more than cut your hair. They offer counseling sessions, like financial advice. So, you don't want to just go to anybody unless, it's a necessity.
Right. Kind of reminds me of what LeBron is doing. But this is coming up July 26th. It's at Crossing Place Church in Bayou Vista. It's 5 hours, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free haircuts from local hairstylists. And let's talk about these stylists. I mean, these, and also the people who have a hand in this. These people are giving of their time for free, and it's on a Monday, which is typically their day off.
Yeah, it is. And so that's why we actually put it on a Monday, was so that they wouldn't have to conflict with earning money for their income. But yeah, everyone that you see on the screen, at least one person from that barbershop or salon is offering their time. There might be more. But yeah, and so it's going to be from 3 to 8. We did it that way so that people who could come during the day could maybe get an earlier slot. But we also know some parents, grandparents, whoever the guardian is, they can't bring them till they get off work. So we wanted to have some after hours as well.
Now, this is a big draw, particularly because it's around back to school. Mm-hmm. The parents are scrambling, trying to get everything together. And I will commend all the efforts of everyone in this community that's actually hosting back to school events. There's others as well. So kudos to all of you for giving your time and of your talents as well. Now, you have about 12 people who are going to be giving of their time. Are you looking for more? Because I can tell you, those parents, grandparents are going to be, as they say, bum rushing.
Yeah. That I kind of have this like nightmarish idea in my head of like people showing up at 3 but 3:30 all the slots till 8 are gone. So yeah, absolutely. So here's what we're gonna do. Our church is actually, it's like concrete, which makes it a great area to actually cut hair. You don't want to do it on carpet. That's going to get stuck, all this stuff. So we're actually going to clear out the church. It normally sits around 350 people. That's where the kids are going to get their hair cut. So we can actually accommodate tons more people. So if anyone sees this and says, hey, I want to give my time and be a part of that, we can sign you up till the morning of and make sure that you're in there, space accommodating. We also are going to absolutely feed all the stylists. We're going to feed the kids as well. And so, it's not going to be like you're showing up and you're stuck or unprovided for. We have some things for the stylist as well to say thank you.
And let us also say, because when I hear haircuts, I think for boys and maybe girls who have some low haircut styles, but you're also offering for girls as well, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For boys, for girls, from anyone pre-K through high school, so literally meaning like 12th grade. Really, I don't know too many college kids that get their haircuts anyway. They let it grow out around that time. But anyone that's a student can come and get their haircut. And basically the way we're going to facilitate that is that, pretty much almost everyone has a cell phone. Show them a picture of what you want. If they can't do it, we'll try to get you with someone else.
Awesome. We're going to come on back, right? I have a couple more questions to go because I'm really excited about this. So I'm happy to have you here again. So come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley Long. I forgot to say that earlier. I might get myself in trouble, but welcome back. We have Kayla Marcantonio, the co-pastor of Crossing Place Church in Bayou Vista, and we're talking about their back-to-school event. Especially, you guys are offering haircuts. We said once before, this was offered in the community at one time. However, it's back with another organization. Haircuts are one of those things that I know with my mom, who wasn't a very good hair braider or stylist. So I know she would have run to this event had it been during our day. But it's so good to have these stylists and barbers give up their time freely on a Monday where they're typically probably resting. So you have about 12, and if anyone wants to volunteer, how can they sign up and where do they go?
Yeah, so I know as far as the stylist, they can reach out to me personally. My email is kayla@crossingplacechurch.com. And so, just Kayla, crossingplacechurch.com. And as far as people in the community, though, like they don't have to come to our church, but they're like, hey, I want to be a part of this. You can go to crossingplacechurch.com. You'll see a button on there to click, and it'll take you to a form to fill that out, and we'll be in contact.
Awesome. So of course you're going to get a lot of students. I just have this thing. It's going to get a lot of students to come through. But you have those students and kids. I mean, they're young. They're kind of antsy. So are you going to do anything to kind of help them, relieve the tension and the anxiety?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a situation where they're like just sitting in a chair waiting, because that's miserable even for adults. So what we're going to do is they can go next door to our student center, and we'll actually be having like kids programs, kids services that they can go and sit, and they can leave at any time, come in at any time. It's kind of set up that way. And we won't have a buzzer system like at a restaurant, but yeah, we're going to call the parent whenever it's time to come back over, because it's two separate buildings. We'll have stuff outside like jumpers, chalk, like cornhole, things like that. And then there's other opportunities to go and we'll talk about it, but go and look at uniforms. We have someone that wants to be there and give out books. So books that they can go, they'll have food they'll be able to eat. So there's definitely enough to fill the time until they get called back over to go and get their hair cut.
That is awesome. And just by the way, look at the sponsors, those who have shown up. They're going to be giving their time for free. We have the Purple Lemon, the Creative Edge, Southern Root Salon and Spa, the Avenue Gentleman Salon, Barbershop Kings, K Bella Salon, Cutting Up. And look, there'll be more. If you are someone who I'm sure has been licensed, so you have a practice, please sign up. Contact Kayla. It's Kayla@crossingplacechurch.com. Again, Kayla, Kayla @crossingplacechurch.com. I think it's a great event. Let's also talk about the texture of hair. Now, we've already said you have girls and boys, but will some of those stylists be able to handle different types of hair?
Yeah, for sure. So we know that at least one of the big things we wanted to make sure of is that whether you're white, black, Hispanic, whatever, you could show up and get your hair cut. Not all of the stylists can, but I would say half to about 3/4 can pretty much handle any different type of texture of hair. And so that is really encouraging to us. I never wanted, one of my fears was someone showing up and, you know, you don't want to hear that someone can't cut your hair because they don't know how.
Right.
But about half to 3/4 of our stylists can, so we should be covered.
And also too, if you want to bring in a video, I thought that, not video, but snippet or
Like a photo.
picture, a
Yeah,
photo,
photo.
yes,
Yeah.
of what you would like your child to have. And of course, let's be real, it's 15-minute increments
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how long the stylist will be preparing the hair. So
Yeah.
there no washing, no drying, no shampooing. Come with your hair cleaned already.
Yeah, it's dry cut. And, you know, there's also the element of like, you know, I know when I get my hair cut, it surely looks different one way until they like curl it. But I think maybe parents can prepare the kids' minds, hey, it may not look exactly like this, but it will be cut really nicely. And so, listen, if you see, like I said, you see the sponsors on there, like you said, I should say, I mean, they know what they're doing, you know? And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, it is dry cut only, no styles at the end, but I know that they're excited and they're going to give their best to make sure the kids look great.
We have about 30 seconds left, and I'm just curious, is this going to be an annual event?
I really hope so. You know, we'll see. We'll see. Wait, 15 kids show up. I hope so. 200, sure hope so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Again, guys, check it out. It's Monday, July 26th at Crossing Place Church in Bayou Vista, 3 to 8. That is all the time we have. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.